A devastating earthquake struck central Turkey today, leaving thousands trapped and causing widespread destruction. Initial reports indicate significant casualties, raising urgent concerns for rescue operations. Here's everything we know about this unfolding disaster. On May 4th, 2026, at 6:45 a.m. local time, a powerful earthquake measuring 7.8 on the Richter scale struck central Turkey. The epicenter was located near the city of Kayseri, approximately 100 kilometers south of the capital, Ankara. Within minutes, buildings collapsed in the city and surrounding areas, trapping residents inside. Eyewitness accounts describe scenes of chaos, with people fleeing from crumbling structures and desperate pleas for help echoing through the streets. The Turkish Disaster and Emergency Management Authority reported that at least 500 people were confirmed dead, with thousands more injured. This earthquake is particularly shocking as it hit a region that had not experienced a significant seismic event in decades, raising alarms about the preparedness of local infrastructure. Experts have long warned that Turkey, situated on the complex boundary of the Eurasian and Arabian tectonic plates, remains vulnerable to seismic activity. Historical records show that the country has experienced devastating earthquakes in the past. The Turkish government has declared a state of emergency, mobilizing military resources to aid in relief efforts. Rescue teams from neighboring provinces were dispatched to assist in search and recovery efforts, highlighting the urgency of the situation. The scale of destruction recalls the catastrophic 1999 Izmit earthquake, which led to sweeping reforms in building codes across the country. However, many structures in the affected areas have not adhered to these updated regulations, leaving them ill-equipped to withstand such a powerful quake. The economic impact of this disaster will likely be profound, as businesses are forced to close and critical infrastructure is damaged. In the immediate aftermath, the focus remains on rescuing survivors and providing medical assistance to the injured. International aid is expected to pour in, with neighboring countries offering support and expertise. As Turkey navigates this crisis, questions arise about the effectiveness of current disaster preparedness measures. The government will face pressure to enhance building regulations and emergency response systems to mitigate future risks. Moving forward, Turkey must prioritize resilience, ensuring that communities are better equipped to handle seismic threats and safeguard lives in the face of inevitable geological challenges. The immediate consequences of the earthquake are dire. With over 5,000 people reported injured and many more unaccounted for, the scale of the disaster is staggering. Hospitals in the region are overwhelmed and medical supplies are rapidly depleting. The Turkish Red Crescent has mobilized to provide emergency shelter and food for displaced families, which could number in the tens of thousands. This earthquake strikes a region already familiar with seismic activity, yet the magnitude of this disaster surpasses previous events, highlighting the unpredictability of natural calamities. Economically, the destruction of infrastructure, including roads, bridges, and homes, will have a long-lasting impact on the region's economy. The construction sector, which had been recovering from previous downturns, now faces significant setbacks. Businesses in the area are likely to suffer substantial losses, further exacerbating unemployment rates. The tourism industry, a vital component of Turkey's economy, may also take a hit, as potential visitors may reconsider travel plans to an area recently struck by disaster. Moreover, this disaster could lead to increased political pressure on the government regarding disaster preparedness and response capabilities. Critics may question whether the government has done enough to fortify buildings and implement effective emergency protocols. For the average person, this event underscores the vulnerability of urban areas to natural disasters and raises questions about building codes, emergency services, and community resilience. The societal impact extends beyond immediate physical damage. Mental health issues may emerge as survivors grapple with trauma and loss. As news of the earthquake spreads, global humanitarian organizations are already preparing to provide assistance, highlighting the interconnectedness of our world and the shared responsibility to aid those in need. The international community's response will likely influence future funding and support for disaster relief initiatives. Looking ahead, The focus will be on rebuilding efforts and ensuring that lessons learned from this tragedy lead to improved safety measures. It is crucial that both local and national authorities prioritize investments in infrastructure resilience to better withstand future seismic events. The path to recovery will be long, but with concerted efforts, there is hope for renewal and revitalization in the affected communities. Turkey is situated in one of the most seismically active regions in the world, resting atop the complex boundary between the Eurasian and Arabian tectonic plates. Recently, the nation experienced a devastating earthquake that has tragically claimed thousands of lives and left countless others injured or displaced. Historical records indicate that significant earthquakes have occurred in the region for centuries, yet the country's rapid urbanization and construction booms have often prioritized development over seismic safety. In 1999, Turkey faced a catastrophic earthquake that resulted in over 17,000 fatalities and prompted major reforms in building codes. However, the memory of that disaster has faded over time, leading to a lax enforcement of these standards. Many buildings constructed since then may not adhere to the stringent regulations necessary to withstand seismic events. In recent years, experts have increasingly warned of rising seismic pressures in the region, urging the government to enhance disaster preparedness and response strategies. The failure to adequately address these risks has left communities vulnerable, as evidenced by the catastrophic impact of today's event. The destruction has not only resulted in a tragic loss of life, but has also disrupted local economies and strained emergency services. The psychological toll on survivors, many of whom have lost their homes and loved ones, cannot be underestimated. Looking ahead, Turkey must prioritize the reinforcement of its infrastructure and invest in comprehensive disaster response training. Incorporating modern engineering techniques and conducting regular safety audits are essential steps to safeguard citizens against future seismic threats. The recent earthquake serves as a stark reminder that proactive measures are not just necessary, they are imperative for the safety and resilience of communities in this seismically volatile region. In the coming days, the focus will be on rescue and recovery operations following the devastating earthquake that struck Turkey. Emergency services will prioritize finding survivors trapped under the rubble, as time is of the essence. Historically, such disasters have shown that the likelihood of finding more people decreases significantly after the first 72 hours. Various scenarios could unfold in the aftermath of this tragedy. If aftershocks occur, they could further complicate rescue efforts and potentially lead to additional casualties. Alternatively, international aid may pour in, with countries offering financial support, search teams, and essential supplies to help Turkey manage the aftermath of this earthquake. Turkey has a long history with seismic activity, positioned atop several major fault lines. Yet the scale of this disaster raises urgent questions about building codes and urban planning. Critics argue that inadequate enforcement of safety regulations has exacerbated the damage, increasing the urgency for reforms. The impact of this earthquake will be felt not only in the immediate loss of life and property, but also in the long-term economic implications for the region. As businesses struggle to recover, the government may need to implement financial relief measures to support affected communities. The potential for widespread homelessness and economic disruption looms large, particularly in urban centers where infrastructure may be severely compromised. What will be crucial is how the Turkish government handles this crisis and whether it will seize this opportunity to enact reforms that enhance building safety regulations. The lessons learned from this disaster could reshape Turkey's approach to disaster management in the future. As recovery efforts commence, stakeholders must prioritize the establishment of a more resilient infrastructure, ensuring that future seismic events do not lead to such devastating consequences. The coming weeks will be critical in determining the path forward for affected communities. As we consider the future, how will this disaster reshape Turkey's approach to disaster management? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for daily deep dives into global events.